request Professor Easwer HV, Head of the Department, Neurosurgery, SETI MSD, for his welcome address. Over to you, sir.
The Honorable Director of the Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute for Medical Science and Technology, Dr. Sanjay Bihari. The two guests in our midst, Her Highness Huyam Tirunal, Gauri Parvati Bai, Professor Dr. Ramakrishna Easwaran, my good friend, Dr. Ravi Gopal Verma, also my senior at Sri Chitra, and my revered teacher, Professor Suresh Nair, and his wife, Dr. Vinita Suresh, my beloved members of my Chitra family who have assembled here at our invitation, my dear faculty and all the esteemed members of this audience. Good morning to you all. If you look at all of us who sit in this august audience named after the famous Chief Minister Sri Achyuta Menon as part of the Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute of Medical Sciences, you will see a common thread or an invisible thread that runs through us. This thread is that we have all been benefited by this institution, that is the Sri Chitra Tirunal. We have either received salaries or have received great value additions in the form of a degree from here. This thread gives us a sense of pride. The pride is because we have a social standing in our community around us. And this social standing comes because of the credibility that our institution has, the compassion for poor that we have, the not being blemished by corruption of any sort as we render great patient care to the poor and needy who need it. And to this we owe to none other than the founder of the institute, that is Maharaja Sri Chitra Tirunal Balarama Verma. This man lived abstemiously, was addressed as Ponnu Thamburan. The Thamburati told me that he doesn't wear a shred of gold unless it is for a ritual or protocol, and always believed that he should do something good for the people. I'm sure that he rightfully deserves the title of Ponnu Thamburan. I begin my invitation, my job, by thanking him, paying the tribute that he deserves to Maharaja Sri Chitra Tirunal Balarama Verma. Now, why do we have this function to celebrate, venerate late Dr. R.M. Verma? After all, he has not been in Sri Chitra. It's almost 100 years since he has been here on this, he had spent, this is the 101st year after he passed. He was born in this world. This man set up the National Institute for Mental Health and Neurological Sciences, which was a game changer for many people in this part of the world. NIMHANS catered to the poor and needy of this country, and also trained hundreds and hundreds of specialists in neurology, neurosurgery, and psychiatry. The impact of this can never be measured in the form of any wealth. Also, incidentally, Dr. Verma has been instrumental in guiding, shaping up Chitra's neurosurgery department in the initial years. You have to understand that India was a fledgling country. There were no hospitals of repute in any part of India as the British left. It was left to a few great men who strived to create centers of excellence in our part of the world after getting degrees from elsewhere abroad. And these institutions have served this nation very well, especially our public institutions. We have to understand that if you want an MRI in Canada, it takes about 3 to 6 months. And if you want an elective neurosurgical procedure in Great Britain, you call it Great Britain, it takes about 6 months before a meningioma can be removed. But in our country, as we stand today, thanks to the great investments that have been made in public sector, our turnaround time has come down to a few weeks. An MRI can be done in a few days, whereas a person in Canada who needs a dental treatment has to come to India and do it and go back. We owe this to the people who set up great institutions in this country. And it is for this reason, specific reason, that we commemorate the memory of Dr. R.M. Verma here today. Let me come back to the guest of honor today, Princess Huyam Tirunal. She is a very familiar face in our part of the world. She is a constant presence in the social scene. When you say social scene, then immediately you think that they are page 3 personalities. No, they're not page 3 personalities. They are versatile speakers, they are eloquent, and more importantly, well versed with the history of Travancore. In fact, having lived close to Maharaja Sri Chitrathirunal Balarama Varma, they had an insight into the history and shaping up of our society in recent times. And I'm sure that she is going to share with us today how this great institution, Sri Chitrathirunal, came into being, and more importantly, what Dr. R.M. Varma's role was in here. My next person that I should invite to this audience is Dr. Ramakrishna Easwaran. We share the same surname, but incidentally, he's a great legend. I came to know of him when I was posted in NIMHANS about 20 years ago. And when we were going through the old files, we found very crisply written notes with all the information about patients, which are relevant even after 30 years, 40 years. And it belonged to none other than Dr. Ramakrishna Easwaran. Professor of that time, Dr. Shastri, told me that this is one man you should emulate to be. In the neurosurgical circles, he is known as an intellectual because he conducts all the clinico-pathological correlation meetings everywhere. And also, when he speaks at medical meetings, we listen. Sir, I welcome you to this meeting and to give us a narration on a talk on R.M. Varma. The next person whom I have to say welcome is our beloved director, Dr. Sanjay Bihari. Dr. Sanjay Bihari is an outsider for us, but who has become an insider within 1 year. He was a professor and head at the Department of Neurosurgery at an institution of national importance at Sanjay Gandhi Institute for Postgraduate Medical Sciences. He served as the editor of Neurology India for quite some time and served creditably well. He was also in a research partnership with the Indian Institute of Technology at Kanpur. And more importantly, he was a man who was a very good photographer. His photos in the new cover pages of Neurology India were always attractive and appealing. Over the years, he decided to, shift the scene from Lucknow to Trivandrum, and he is with us today. In fact, he has always been raising the bar for the neurosurgery and other departments in our institution. How does he do that? His grouse is that Sri Chitra does a lot of things, but does not let the world know that they are doing it. There are many institutions in this country which punches more than the strength that it has and gets away with it, whereas we remain relatively anonymous. He has always been telling us to go and tell the world what you do. In fact, 6 months ago, when we decided to commemorate the memory of Dr. R.M. Raut, the legendary professor and head of the Department of Neurosurgery, he backed us to the hilt and ensured that the governing body of the institute, he navigated the permissions from the governing body of the institute, ensured that eminent speakers from all over India and the guest speaker from abroad all came and participated in this. I should not be saying welcome, sir. I should be saying thank you, sir. Thank you for being here with us, playing that sheet anchor role behind us. Let me come to my teacher, Professor Suresh Nair. I am not a sycophant. Nobody can, of all the crimes that I can be accused of, sycophancy is not one. Professor Suresh Nair is a legend out here and for the rest of the world. As a stickler of academic punctuality, you can see his car parked there at around 6:30 a.m. in the morning. He never leaves the house without reading about the patients who are admitted there, the clinical conditions that the patients have, and what is the best treatment for them. He is abreast with what is latest in neurosurgery. In fact, he is the most well-read person in the world in neurosurgery. I'm sure many neurologists look down upon the neurosurgeons because they are seen as people who do the technical job of fixing the plumbing, removing the tumor, etc., etc. But then with Suresh Nair, sir, well, the neurologist kind of deal with him with a lot of respect because he knows more neurology than the neurologists themselves. Let me come to the radiology. He has constantly strived to ensure that all of us are well versed with radiology. is, every day he will go and sit with the radiologist and discuss newer things and share it with us. This was his passion for neurology and neurosurgery and radiology, as he was a professor, which he continues to do so even after his superannuation from Sri Chitra. Sir, there is an element of Suresh Nair sir in all of us, and that is because imitation is the best form of flattery. Sir, thank you for being a teacher par excellence in our midst. Thank you for being here. I would fail as a human if I don't recognize and acknowledge the presence of Dr. Vinita Suresh in the life of Dr. Suresh Nair and in our lives. In fact, since 1997, we have shared a lot of good vibes between each other. And I must confess a great sense of, appreciation and respect for the kind of intellectual that she is. She reads a lot and she kind of gives us wise messages. Welcome, madam. Last but not the least is my good friend Ravi Gopal Verma. He has some water. Ravi Chetan, as I call him, has been a good friend since 1997, when he was a second-year resident and I was a lowly houseman. He treated me with a lot of kindness and care, ensured that I become a neurosurgeon. He kindled the interest of neurosurgery in me. In fact, in Bangalore, he is one of the most busiest practitioners in dealing with the state-of-the-art neurosurgery, including spinal cord stimulation. When we discussed about this idea of having a commemorative program in the name of Dr. R.M. Verma, he readily agreed and promised to do something more. I do not wish to steal his thunder, and I am sure he will make an announcement about that when his turn comes. Welcome to Dr. Ravi Gopal Verma, an alumnus of Sri Chitra. Last but not the least, I should acknowledge all my staff out here who have come at our invitation. More importantly, the people in the neuro operating rooms who had done an excellent job in suturing up an operating room manual from a nurse's perspective. They have worked hard in the last few weeks to make sure it happens. Because in India, what happens is there is a wealth of knowledge and experience that we accrue over the years. But unfortunately, this wealth of knowledge dies with that person. Many things like Ayurveda died because it was never chronicled in the way that science should have been. In order to buck this trend, we are trying to come up with our own experiences, often from a developing nation, on how to develop an operating theatre for neurosurgical purposes. I compliment all my staff at the neuro operating room who made this possible. Congratulations. Last but not the least, there are a lot of eminent personalities in our midst and our pensioners. It has been a great effort to make this happen, but then this effort will all light up our lives because there are a lot of people present here on our invitation. There are many professors from other institutions and other and former scientists and doctors from our own institute who are present here on our invitation. I welcome you all to this meeting. As you know, we have crossed 75 years of being an independent nation. We are in the cusp of history because finally India is seeing a lot of prosperity, development in science, technology, and the social aspects of life. All this would not have been possible but for the sacrifices of people who gave up their lives and livelihoods and futures for getting us the freedom from British. I end my words with glorious tributes to all the freedom fighters because of whom we got freedom and we came here and we reached here. Thank you very much for all of you for coming here at our invitation. Jai Hind.